What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. That is the end of the Flyers' winning streak, but we can call it a point streak now, I guess you can say. So that is points in 5 straight games. Basically, since coming back from the All-Star break, the Flyers do lose this one in overtime in Toronto against the Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews is ridiculously good. I don't know how we even second guessed that he could be ridiculously good. I don't even know why I said second guessed it, because I don't think anyone second guessed that Austin Matthews was really good. The man scores goals at will, and he scored a natural hat trick in the second period tonight. He completely took over that entire second period after the Flyers went up 1-0 in the first period after another shorthanded goal, this time by Travis Sanheim after a beautiful pass by Scott Laughton after Travis Konecny gets a breakaway and hits the post. So the power kill remains red hot. And honestly, I thought the Flyers played a very good first period. With all things considered, I thought they gathered a lot of chances. I thought they pressured very well. I thought they forechecked very well in that first period, and especially on the penalty kill. They just do their thing, basically, and that resulted in them getting the 1-0 lead. Ersson was there to make some saves, especially early on, like basically right as the game started. And yeah, that's what resulted in you getting a 1-0 lead. But then basically that entire second period, it all stemmed from a very bad line change, and Toronto reading that from the get-go. Pass from their own blue line right to Austin Matthews, who's wide open, and he just snipes it from the left circle. I guess you could say that is definitely a goal that Ersson could possibly want back. But then also your argument at the end of the day is Austin Matthews. The dude scores goals at will. He has 40-plus already on the season, and granted, he scored a couple of more as the game went along. Hell, freaking, he scores one on the power play. After the Flyers, Travis Konecny gets another shorthanded chance. He has a clear chance right in the slot as he toe drags right into position, and he missed the net yay wide. And then the puck goes back the other way as Toronto controls it in the Flyers zone, and then Austin Matthews just has to one-time it past Ersson. It becomes 2-1, and then Austin Matthews, once again, getting towards the end of the third period, another shot from a very long ways away, and maybe another one that you could say Ersson would want back. There was, questionable about possibly being offsides or not, but John Tortorella didn't even, look to challenge it at all. So it, they didn't challenge it. The hat trick celebration went off, and basically all was said and done. Austin Matthews with the natural hat trick. But then you got to give a lot of credit to this team. You really do. Because during this third period, you lose 2 guys. You lose Cam York after a hit by Benoit. Then Nick Delorier gets into the scrum where Benoit really just doesn't feel like doing anything. He just, hurdles and lets Nick Delorier, try to stand up for his teammate. And then Sean Couturier, after I believe he got slashed in the leg, he limped for a little bit. He tried playing on the ensuing power play that came like a couple of minutes later, and he tried to give it a go there, and he just couldn't. He didn't play the rest of the period. He didn't play the rest of the game. So that is definitely something to look out for in the next few days here, especially going into Saturday's game against the Devils in the Stadium Series. Hopefully you can have a healthy Sean Couturier, and hopefully Cam York is okay from whatever happened. Hopefully they're just playing everything on the precautious side, which I wouldn't doubt them if that's the case. They're playing very precautious there. Just hopefully nothing is too extreme to a very extent, because we don't need to deal with injuries right now, because we're already dealing with the injury to Forrester. We're already dealing with the injury to Ristolainen, which is already, worse than they expected. He's going to be out for at least more than a month at this point. So that's, a little bit of a blow to your defense in that situation. So we definitely don't need another hit to the defense. We don't need a hit to your forward core. So hopefully that's the case. And hopefully, those guys are just, day to day, and they're good to go for Saturday. But I'm sure we'll hear more from John Tortorella, even though he probably won't give us the full update on the injury perspective. We probably won't even find anything out until tomorrow or anything like that. So we're going to have to wait and see. But, Flyers, after a power play, John Tortorella sends the 4th line out there, and they generate a chance offensively. They drive the net half away, and Noah Cates does. Paling throws a biscuit onto the net, and then half away buries the rebound. making it a 3-2 game. And then not that long after, Flyers draw a power play. This is in the dying minutes of the period, by the way. This is like with around like 6 minutes, 5 minutes left of the third period. So, Toronto trying to close this one out. Flyers not going away. They're being pests. And I thought they definitely rebounded very well in that third period after getting dominated by Auston Matthews and the top end talent of Toronto in the second. Flyers definitely rebounded very nicely. So after Hathaway makes it 3-2, Flyers draw a power play, and then the Flyers, they control in the offensive zone, and they throw biscuits onto the net, and you get a little bit of a net mount scramble. Puck gets into a loose area where Travis Konecny on the left side, all he has to do is walk up and bury the loose change behind Samsonov, the goaltender for Toronto, and he ties the game up at 3. This Flyers team doesn't go away. Honestly, they had some more chances at the end of the game if it wasn't for, a deflection which led Travis Konecny to get offside, because honestly, the Flyers were trying to dish the puck up. Travis Konecny was trying to get behind the defense, and one of the Toronto players made a good play to redirect the puck, I guess, to prevent it from going in the zone at the same time Konecny was, and it made Konecny go offside, which honestly would have been very electric if he got a breakaway with the final 30 minutes of the game, because honestly, I would have guaranteed he probably buried that chance. That's just what I would have thought in that predicament. But you tie the game at 3, end of regulation, you battled back when you got completely dominated in that second period. You find a way to, fight back, you get your mojo back, and you earn a point. Overtime, well, we won't talk about overtime. I know a lot of people definitely have a question about some of the 2 goals that Sam Ersson allowed against Auston Matthews, the first and the third one in particular. My biggest gripe is the third goal. And yes, the overtime, the Flyers did not possess the puck at all, basically. It was really just a quick get-go in under a minute for Toronto. Their first line out there of Matthews and Marner, I don't remember who the defenseman was at that particular time. Then they make a line change. They try to force the Flyers to make a line change, so they try to make the Flyers fall for the trap. Lawton does make the good change, but then Tippett tries to get off for a change as well, and the guy that's coming off of the bench can't get back in enough time as Toronto's next unit goes out there, and William Nylander is just completely left all alone on the left side, and he just puts it 5-hole past Ersson from the left circle, and that is definitely a goal I do believe Sam Ersson would want back more than the Auston Matthews goals. I just believe from that side of the ice, from that far out, I know it's basically the same thing with the Matthews goals, but I kind of want to, give it go to that's just Auston Matthews, and the guy just, finds ways to score. He has an electric shot. He's one of the best goal scorers in the National Hockey League. I just think that Nylander goal, just allowing a 5-hole from that angle, from that far out of the ice, it just, that one was the one that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But I don't think if you're, watching this game, Flyers fan, I don't think you should be mad at this game. You should be very proud of this team and, the resiliency of this team to come back down from 3-1. They lost 2 guys in the third period in Cam York and Sean Couturier, and they still found a way to fight back in this game and let alone tie the game to force overtime to get that well-earned point. And I do believe there were some teams in the Eastern Conference that did lose today. I do believe the New Jersey Devils, who you are playing on Saturday, they lost tonight to the Los Angeles Kings, so that definitely helps you in that fact. So if I look at the rest of the scores around the National Hockey League just to see other teams that possibly played within the Metropolitan Division that the Flyers are, working around here. So currently, if I'm looking at things, the Devils lost, and the only other team I guess you could say you could possibly worry about is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're playing the Chicago Blackhawks right now. They're winning 2-1. But I guess the Devils are probably the more important thing right there, because if we look at the standings right now in the Metropolitan Division, the Flyers getting that extra point and the Devils losing, the Flyers are now, I believe, 7 points ahead of the New Jersey Devils in third place in the Metropolitan Division. Granted, the Devils do have 2 games in hand on the Flyers, so it really is important getting all of those games, that point separation in general. And Flyers are tied with the Carolina Hurricanes, but the Hurricanes have 3 games in hand on the Flyers. So say what you want about that. And then basically from the next team on, the Flyers are 8 points ahead of the New York Islanders. They're 11 points ahead of the Capitals. They're 12 points ahead of the Penguins. So really the Capitals and the Penguins aren't teams that they Flyers really aren't going to worry about at the end of the day. It's really just the Devils and the Islanders, I guess, at the end of the day, just because of the games in hand those teams have on you. So, and I really don't think there's anything worried about wild card right now, because in terms of the wild card, Maple Leafs are in the first wild card spot, so that really has no impact on you. Detroit's in the second wild card spot, that really has no impact on you. And then the teams that are looking outside of the wild card spot, the Devils are 2 points out of the wild card spot, and the Islanders are 3 points out of the wild card spot. So there's definitely some separation in there, so that's really good that you have that point separation, even though those teams do have games in hand on you. You just take it as it is and you move on. I really do want to try and find out what is going on with Sean Couturier and Cam York. I don't think we're going to be finding an answer after this game, because that's just something I'm a little bit more concerned about. Just hopefully that won't be the case at the end of the day, to where those guys are out. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't think we're going to be getting an update at all on those two. Most likely, we won't be finding anything out about it until tomorrow. The Sean Couturier, he got slashed in the leg, and looking at the replay on that thing, he was limping a little bit. So I just hope it's like a bruise in that situation, and he just, needs a day off his leg or something like that, and they were just playing very on the side of precaution. Hopefully that is just the case. York is definitely the more scary thing. He just, didn't look right coming off, and maybe that was just, getting the wind knocked out of him with the hit, but I just hope for, sake of the outdoor game on Saturday, those guys are good to go and they're healthy. I just don't want this team going through injuries at this point. And also just, selfishly, because I'm going to the outdoor game, I don't want to see a shorthanded Flyer squad going up against the New Jersey Devils. I just don't want to see that. Even though the Devils, they have that point separation on them, they still got some high-end talent there and young talent in New Jersey that can definitely go off on the Flyers. And I guess you could say this is another game where high-end talent, top-tier talent, completely takes over the game, as we've seen in the past couple of weeks when the Flyers have played those teams. We see with, Connor McDavid, we've seen it with Nathan McKinnon, Nikita Kucherov, David Pastrnak, and now Austin Matthews. So that's what, at least I would say 4 or 5 games in a row against, top teams. And then I wouldn't even consider Toronto at this point, with just with the way they're playing this year. I wouldn't consider them like a top end team in the league. They're still a good team. They're still a dangerous team, but they're nowhere close to the level where, Boston is, where the Panthers are, where if I'm looking at some other teams, the Rangers, in my honest opinion. I don't think they're close to those type of teams at all. Teams like Dallas, teams like Colorado, teams like Vancouver, none of those teams, in my honest opinion. I don't think Toronto's anywhere close to that. But you never know. The NHL playoffs are definitely a weird thing that can happen at any point. So if you're looking at the upcoming schedule, obviously Saturday, you got a day off tomorrow, and Saturday is going to be the outdoor game at MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands against the Devils. Hopefully that'll be a good one. Hopefully the Flyers can still ride the high of this point streak that they're on, 5 games after the All-Star break. So hopefully they can ride in against a metropolitan rival and find a way to get a W there in the outdoor game. Hopefully they will, because selfish reasons, I would like to see them win, because I'm going there, and the past 2 times I've watched this team in New Jersey, they got shut out. So honestly, selfishly, I just want to see a goal. I just want to see a goal. Hopefully that could be the case. I'm not going to, say anything, because I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And then after that, they got 3 days off. After the outdoor game, they played the 21st on the road in Chicago against the Blackhawks. Then they're off for another 2 days after that. They play at home on the 24th against the New York Rangers. That is a nationally televised game on ABC. And then the very next day, they're on the road 3:30 against the Penguins. That is also a nationally televised game on TNT. And then the last game of February is on the 27th at home against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we'll see how this goes off. Will Jack Hughes go off against the Flyers on Saturday? Will Connor Bedard go off against the Flyers on the 21st? Will Panarin or Zibanejad go off against the Flyers? Will Crosby will probably go off? Will Kucherov go off again? Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see. These upcoming teams definitely do have some upper echelon talent I like the Devils. They have Jack Hughes. The Blackhawks, for how bad they are, they do have Connor Bedard. The Rangers, they have high end talent across the entire roster. The Penguins, they're not as good as they're not a good team this year, but they still have guys that'll torch the Flyers. And then Tampa Bay, they got Kucherov. So that is the summary right there. But still, like, some exciting stuff. Hey, I can't fault the team that won 4 in a row coming out of the break, and they got a point here. I can't fault them for that. They found a way to come back. I can't fault them for that. And before we end this off, we do have, I guess you could say some breaking news in terms of Flyers, even though this happened last night. Very unexpectedly. No one was expecting this whatsoever. We saw this on the Flyers Twitter when it was like a teaser thing, to where it was like, I believe they had the eyeball emoji or something like that, where they, were showing a little bit of a video clip teaser trailer of a Flyers jersey with a Captain C on it. And we're like, oh, God, like, when did this come from? The Flyers are naming a captain? And then not that long after, we find out Sean Couturier gets named the next captain of the Flyers franchise. And, instant reaction to that, I love the choice. I think Couturier definitely is the next guy and was the next guy in line to be captain. I know a lot of people were circling in Scott Laughton because he was the only guy to wear the letter basically on the team. I do think Sean Couturier, especially, with the way that he's worked, with the way that he's grinded, especially, after missing, not playing a single game in the National Hockey League in the past 2 seasons with the injuries and the back surgeries and all that stuff, with the way that basically he came into this season with a lot of doubters and just a lot of concerns on how he's able to even going to rebound from that. And he's putting up a pretty solid season, and, not going to lie, coming off of 2 back surgeries. And yeah, the offensive output definitely isn't there from Sean Couturier's standards, but, I'll take this version of Sean Couturier right now, especially just coming off of 2 back surgeries, and he's still one of the better defensive forwards, the better two-way forwards in the game. And the way that I guess that he's the one thing that I do like, and I like to think to myself, it was after that Seattle game where he did score the game-winning goal in that third period, after that whole conversation that Torts had in the press conference when he basically said Sean Couturier's celebration was flipping off Torts. I'd like to think that after that happened, Torts was like, you son of a bitch, you're the fucking captain. I like that. I like that mentality. you're the fucking captain. I really want to think if that was the case, that like what settled the entire thing of who Torts thought the captain should be for the franchise. A lot of people were thinking Travis Konecny too. Travis Konecny does get the other A on the side there, and a lot of people were throwing this out there basically now that Sean Couturier is the captain, Travis Konecny is one of the other alternate captains. What does that say about Scott Laughton possibly with the upcoming trade deadline, because his name is really circling around out there? Yeah, I kind of do expect Scott Laughton by time of the trade deadline to not be in a Flyers uniform. Danny Briere and Keith Jones, they have a plan. They're going to stick to that plan, and whether that means Scott Laughton is gone or not, I do believe Scott Laughton is going to be gone, just because I do think the return is just something that you won't be able to refuse, especially for what guys like Sean Monahan had. And Scott Laughton definitely will be a commodity out there just because of how weak the center market is for the trade deadline. So if people want a bottom 6 grinder type of forward for their team, a guy that can bring energy, a guy that is very good for the locker room, yeah, Scott Laughton is definitely a very good pickup. And I'm not saying this sets the mood for Scott Laughton to be traded, but hey, I think this is the right move. I love the move making Sean Couturier the captain, and it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Sean Couturier at this point is basically the longest tenured Flyer on the team, so he's been here for a very long time. And he started playing in the NHL when he was 18 years old, and he's been a Flyer basically his entire career. So he deserves it, man. And I can't wait to see him eventually lift a Stanley Cup wearing that Flyers C. I cannot wait for that moment. Hopefully it does happen in the near future when Couturier is still, up and going in the team. Hopefully that's the case. And yeah. And just before we end it off here as well, I do want to see if there's any update on Couturier or and in Cam York. I don't think there is. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be any type of update for those guys until like tomorrow or something like that. So we definitely won't find out there. They're most likely going to be taking a plane to Newark tomorrow to get prepared for everything, do the the warm-up skate in the afternoon tomorrow, whether they bring their families or not for the family skate at night, whatever the case is. So, yeah, should be a very fun weekend. Hopefully, excuse me there. Hopefully, the Flyers can get a W on Saturday. In terms of the recap for that game, it really just depends on when I get home from that game, because the game's at 8 o'clock. Me and my father are going there earlier just to see all the festivities that are going to be happening at the Meadowlands for, whatever they're doing down there, because they're doing a whole fan fest thing and all that stuff. We're going to be down there. We're going to be there basically the entire day. So the game starts at 8. The game most likely is not going to be ending until around like 10:30, 11 o'clock, depending on when we got our train and everything like that coming home. I'm probably not going to be home until like 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30, in between, between 12:30 and 1:30. So if I just come home, bing, bang, boom, do the recap, and then post it on Sunday morning, that'll probably be the case there. We're just going to have to wait and see. But, yeah, hopefully this weekend does bode well for this Flyers squad. Hopefully they can get a win in the outdoor game. For my sake, just hopefully score a goal in a game that I can see them against the Devils on the road, because I haven't seen them score a goal on the road against the Devils yet. Hopefully that could just be the case. I'll just take a goal at this point. I'll just take that. So, yeah. Earned the point, fought back. That basically describes this entire character of the Flyers squad. Can't be more proud of this team. Hopefully Coots and York are okay and then good for go for Saturday. We'll probably find that out tomorrow. And yeah. So thanks guys for tuning in when you decide to. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to check out everything in the description down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Thanks guys for joining tonight or whenever you decide to tune into this. And I'll see you next time.